Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord developer blog video. It's been a couple weeks, and that is primarily because there hasn't really been a whole lot to talk about. So this video is essentially going to combine the last 3 weeks worth of blog posts into a single video. The reason I decided to do one this week was because the most recent one, which is Productive Enterprises, does have a little bit of new information in it, so we're going to touch on that last, since that's the most recent. I'm going to cover ranged weapons and faction banners really briefly first, because there's not a whole lot there. We should be able to speed through them pretty quickly, and then that'll leave more time at the end for discussing the little bits of new information in this one. So with that, let's go ahead and jump on in. That's the button. Okay, so blah blah blah, introduction, whatever. The new throwing weapons, well, actually, that's incorrect. There are no new throwing weapons. The throwing weapons that will be in Bannerlord are the same ones that are available in Warband. So you have throwing knives, throwing axes, javelins, bows, crossbows, and rocks. So nothing new here, although I think there was a joke that rocks might have been new or something, but I've always played Warband and been able to throw stones. Maybe that's a modded thing and I've just taken it for granted, but I'm pretty sure there's stones that you can throw in Warband, so that's not new either. Things like javelins, I believe, are customizable through the weapon customization thing that they've added. I'm pretty sure in some of the gameplay footage we've seen from years past, we actually were able to see a couple of the pieces that you could customize javelins with. Some of them made them look like harpoons and stuff, but they should be customizable. I don't know if throwing axes are, but I would wager probably if they are, because of course they're usable as one-handed axes. So I think they will be. Throwing knives might be as well, but certainly not bows from what we've seen, or crossbows. Now, throwing knives cannot be used as a weapon that you can block with, is what I'm trying to say there. Which, again, if you watched my melee weapons one, I completely disagree with this mechanic. The fact that you can block in the game with like a mace or a warhammer, or I should say parry. People take issue with me using those interchangeably, and I mean, technically, yeah, they're different things. But anyways, you can parry in the game with a mace, which is completely nonsensical. If you were to try to block like an overhead blow with a mace, they're so heavy on the top end that any blow that hit it while you were trying to block would probably just smash the head of the mace into you. So the ability to do that, but then not parry with a dagger, which historically there were daggers made just for parrying, doesn't really make sense. I think they should just make everything able to parry, or if they're going to pick and choose things, at least pick and choose them based on reality. But whatever, they're not going to change it. It wasn't in Warband. They've already said it's not going to be in Bannerlord, so no use crying over spilt milk. So that's ranged weapons. After that, last week, we got faction banners, and here they just sort of talked about their inspirations for the different banner designs. Honestly, who the hell cares at this point? So I'm just going to go through and show you guys what the banners look like. This is the Asarai banner. It's like a goblet or a cup in, I'm not sure what color. It's like a very dark burnt orange on sort of like a yellow background. Britannia is a very Celtic symbol. If you follow Celtic history at all, you're probably very familiar with this one. Empire, we get the double-headed eagle. There's 3 variants, again, because the Empire is divided into 3 sub-factions. I believe this is the standard one, the Imperial one, and then these are the 2 offshoots. Then we have the Khuzaits, which I know I've seen that symbol before. And then it looks like they've got like the crescent moon, and then that maybe is a crown or something. Anyway, it's on light blue, which is an interesting color choice to me anyways. Then we have Sturgia. This is I don't recognize this symbol, but I certainly recognize this. I think those are typically, you see them a lot on like Dacian stuff, or a lot of late Roman shields had them. I don't recall which tribes use these a lot. It could have been the Goths, but I might not be right on that one. Anyways, that's kind of interesting given the inspiration of this faction. And then Vlandia is very, very plain. It's just a yellow lion on a red background. Some of these are just like so, like that is so basic and simple. Like why did they even bother? But anyways, those are the new banners. Some of them kind of interesting. Overall, very, very plain though. I'm sure one of the first mods we'll see is something to spruce these up and make them more interesting. And so that was last week's. Now we'll jump into this week's blog, which is about productive enterprises and how you can make money in the game. And I'm going to skip through this first part. Again, there's nothing really new here. They do go through the various types of productive enterprises that they have. Most of these are not new, but there are a few that are. So brewery, we've seen breweries before. Butchers, I believe we've seen before. Weavers, mills, olive presses, pottery, smithy, tannery, and just a regular weavery. We've seen all of those before, but the stable is new. And then the wood workshop, which produces weapons and shields from wood, is also new. So those are, two things that you can build. And the main difference that we're going to see from Warband to this is that they're actually represented in the town map. So when you jump into the town scene, is what the correct term for it is in this case. When you enter that scene, walking around the town, there will be like places available for you to purchase, and your businesses will actually be moved into those places and properly be represented. In Warband, you would just get a new menu option when you went to that town, and you could walk around in the room of where your business was, but that was it. Now when you're walking around the greater town, you'll actually be able to see your business. And then they've of course made scenes for those rooms to reflect the different businesses that would be in there. And let's see, what else? I think they said there might be some new information here. So players can enter town. Not only does it help to achieve our aim of improving overall immersion, so that's what I just mentioned. Let's see. Having various locations for productive enterprises in each town means that players and AI lords can establish multiple businesses. So that's new. In Warband, there was a hard cap on one per town, unless you played a mod. Some mods, I actually can't think of a mod that allowed you to build more than one, unless it was something like Anno Domini where you had your own estate and you could build multiple things there. But in each town, I don't recall ever being able to build more than one thing. Even Nova Aetis, I believe, limits you to one thing, but there are other non-business things that you can build in towns. So anyways, by allowing both players and AI lords to set up multiple businesses, they can act in direct competition with each other and have a negative impact on each other's profits. So you can be competing with an AI lord with your smithy or something, and you guys are trying to be like the town's smithy magnate or something. Anyway, this can be quite useful if you already have a reliable source of income and you want to ensure that a rival lord doesn't gain a financial upper hand. But it can be quite a nuisance if you are struggling to make ends meet and production is halted because your business can no longer turn a profit. Likewise, crafty players can monitor what businesses their rivals own and buy up any raw materials or flood the local market with crafted goods to influence market prices, effectively putting a chokehold on rival operations. So one thing I want to mention here is that I do like the focus that it seems like Bannerlord has had on the economic side of things. It seems like finance is going to play a lot bigger part in the game, which is cool because in Warband, initially it's very hard to make money, and then once you kind of get the ball rolling, it snowballs and it becomes impossibly or insanely easy to make money to the point where you don't even know what to spend it on anymore. I've definitely hit that point in some of my playthroughs. If you watch our Kingdom playthrough, I don't recall what episode it kind of hit that threshold, but we started making so much money so fast that there was nothing left for us to use it for. And it just, my treasury keeps getting bigger and bigger because I'm not using it for anything. I'll recruit troops and stuff, but that's such an insignificant amount compared to what I'm making every week that I'm still turning a profit no matter how big my army gets or how big my empire grew. So I do like that focus. However, one of the big things in Warband that stopped that from being a factor was the fact that AI lords don't play by the same rules that the player does. So it never really mattered if you raided somebody's villages or something because they were just going to magically respawn recruits anyways. And so if they're trying to make that a thing in Bannerlord, that's another issue they need to address. The AI lords need to play by the same rules. That way when you hit them in their, income base, you're hitting them where it hurts and they're not just going to leap around it through code. So I really hope that's, again, something that they address because I do like this focus. It just needs to be implemented on all fronts, otherwise it's not going to matter on this one. So then they talk about how big a task it is for them to create all these scenes, blah, blah, blah. And then they mention a little bit about E3, so let's read through that. So they say, and finally, in the past few weeks, some people have asked us if we plan to attend the next E3. After careful consideration, we decided against it, and we won't be going to Los Angeles this year. The preparations needed to attend an event such as E3 takes a lot of time, effort, and resources, and right now we think it's better to focus on the development of the game. However, it does not mean you won't see anything of Mount Blade to Bannerlord during the summer. Gamescom is on the horizon. Well, if they're going to do E3 or Gamescom, I don't have a lot of confidence for a release this year. Unless, maybe if what we see at Gamescom is like a bunch of hype building for a release. But otherwise, if it's the same kind of, gameplay videos, I think we can kind of write off any sort of release this year, which is disappointing. But honestly, I'm not sure what to think at this point. The the game was throwing out all sorts of very finished looking, or at least close to finished looking gameplay videos a couple years ago. And so it seemed like we were getting closer and closer. And now at this point, they're putting out these blog posts for people that are brand new. Like, one of the reasons why they did that weapon one was to like introduce new players to the weapons that they were going to have. But at this point, who is that for? Everybody who's going to pick up this game will have heard of it in the last 6 years of development. So why at year 6 are you finally rolling this stuff out? That should have been like blog post number 1 or number 2. But no, that's blog post number 59 according to their website, and it's happening in year 6. So I don't really understand the reasoning behind that. But it does seem like they're very desperate for blog post content at this point. Granted, stuff like this one is more what I've been looking for, although there's very little actual new information in it. But again, stuff about the single player is what I'm interested in. And so if they're going to hold off release and continue putting out blog posts in the meantime, it would be nice if it was actually information we cared about and not, hey, here's the same, 8 range weapons that we're going to have just like in Warband. Because that's, nobody cares about that. We already know that. Or, we didn't know that we already knew it, but the fact that there was nothing new meant that it was, not worthwhile anyways. Whatever, I've been talking too long, so we're going to end it here. I'm going to be recording these a lot more infrequently if the content continues to be very, very minimal. I'll probably do one every couple weeks like I've done here and just kind of merge them all together because honestly, none of them warrant a full 15-minute episode anymore. But if they do, then they will get one. So there's that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time talking about some Bannerlord with you, sort of, kind of. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys back here for the next one.